Hey everyone, it's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you. This is Dr. Jason Johnson and my three things. Thank you for coming back and joining me. Just 2 days ago, I did a video on the 2025 elections, and that's been sort of blowing up. And I promised at the time that I was going to do a video talking about celebrating, commemorating, however it is we want to put it, the 1 year anniversary of Donald Trump getting elected. So if this is your first time seeing me, welcome. Please like, subscribe, and share. You can click the button right down there and subscribe. This first minute, I'm going to explain what my three things are, what the main topics are going to be for today, etc., etc. You can see that on Instagram. You can see that on Blue Sky. You can see that on Twitter. My mama called it Twitter. I'm always going to call it Twitter. I don't care what Elon Musk says. But if you want to see the whole video, got to come here to YouTube. So here's the thing. So I got three things for today, but they're not really three things. I really racked my brain to figure out how to talk about everything that has happened in this country in the years since Donald Trump got elected. Because again, he was elected November 4th. It was a year ago on Wednesday. But then I started realizing to myself that even though he got elected a year ago, he didn't get into office until January 2025. So I started really lowering the list. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Just everything that's happened in this country since January of 2025 and how bad those things are. And then we'll talk about later what we can do about them. So here's the thing. Something a little different this time. I got my three things, but the three things are really this list. This is compiled from the BBC, from my boy Michael Harriot at Contraband Camp. This is from MSNBC, NBC News. I looked all over the country. I looked at White House websites. I looked at all this information just to list 34 things, 34, one for each count that Trump got convicted of in 2024, 34 things that have happened in this country since Donald Trump took office in January of this year. You can look up each and every one of these things from the different things that I cited. I'm going to run through each and every one of them. And I think this is important. I think this is important for perspective. I think that it's so easy to just say, oh, he's terrible. Oh, this or that bad thing has happened. But you don't get specific. You need to be able to tell yourself, you need to be able to tell your friends, you need to be able to tell your neighbors, like, what's actually happened in this country? What can we say is different now than before January? And then we can talk about how it changes. So I'm going to run off this list right here. Starting with one, we start sort of in chronological order, and then we just go through. Pardon all the January 6 attackers. Simple thing. People tried to take over the government. Donald Trump pardoned them. Changed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. It doesn't make any sense. Seems silly and stupid, but believe it or not, it ended up costing a lot of money because you had to change that and all sorts of federal documentation, including our military academies, and it was a huge waste of money for no reason. DOGE comes in. DOGE has eliminated hundreds of thousands of jobs from the interior, from parks, from CDC, from everything else like that. 300,000 jobs lost to black women alone since DOGE. Number four, Elon Musk robbed us. And I will say this with a certain amount of confidence. When Elon Musk was kicked out of the government under this administration, we don't know how many terabytes of information he had. He has all sorts of people in all the government. So he left. He could have all of our information. We don't know that. That happened under the Trump administration. Number five, Zelensky. Vladimir Zelensky, who came here, who was the head of Ukraine, and the president insulted him. Regardless of how you feel about that war, regardless of how you feel about spending the money in the war, Donald Trump insulting Zelensky in front of the world made us less safe because it makes other countries not believe that we're a place that will protect them. Number six, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I've talked about this a lot on MSNBC. I've talked about this a lot as a professor in general. Abrego Garcia is an American citizen. He was deported by ICE. They put him in another country. They put him in torture camps in other countries. The federal government judges said, hey, you have to bring him back. He's a citizen. Trump refused multiple times, taking this man, throwing him in and out of the country. That is bad. That is dangerous. That is petty. That is violent. And that didn't happen before he got in office. Next, number seven. We had back in March, we had Pete Hegseth, who was the Secretary of Defense, who got caught in a group chat talking about a bombing of Yemen. Again, a national security issue that ended up in the Atlantic. Then in April, we had Trump come out with tariffs. You know, all the tariffs that he said was supposed to change things, all those tariffs that have failed, that have driven up prices, that have made phones more expensive, that have made food more expensive, that have made building cars more expensive. All these things happened started in April. In May, Trump got a free jet from Qatar that initially was supposed to be a gift, but now it's going to cost us over $300 million at least for U.S. citizens to pay for repairing it. Then in June, he sent the National Guard to Los Angeles. That's right. Sent the National Guard to a domestic American city to terrorize people because he doesn't like Gavin Newsom and he's afraid Newsom will beat him in 2028. Then in Iran, oh God, this list is terrible. Then we get to 11. Remember, next, Trump bombed supposed nuclear sites in Iran, but we don't know if he actually bombed those nuclear sites correctly. We don't know if he stopped Iran's nuclear capacity one way or another. And you remember back in June, we all thought we were going to be in World War III because he bombs people out of the blue on a Saturday night. Next, July, he passed his big, terrible bill. I'm not going to go into all the details in the bill. I've got previous videos on that. But remember, all of the worst parts of the bill, all the cuts to healthcare subsidies, all the cuts to federal programs, none of them kick in until after the midterm elections of 2026 because they knew what they were doing was so unpopular that if those policies came into play now, they would lose in 2026, so they kicked it down the road. Next, you have the National Guard coming to Washington, D.C., which is also terrible, right? You have National Guards people harassing children, harassing teenagers. We've seen reports about this, clogging up and damaging business in the city. That is what's happened in Washington, D.C. since he moved in the National Guard. Then October, Trump was telling people that you need to buy his $599 Trump watch, which turned out to be a big scam. Again, something that only happened since he got into office. Then we have the prosecutions of James Comey, Tish James, and John Bolton. I'm not a fan of John Bolton. Most people who care about democracy aren't really fans of John Bolton. But at the end of the day, I got something poking on my shirt here. The idea of using the Department of Justice to go after people that you don't like, that's the next thing he did. Number 16, the consumer price index is now up to 2.3. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means we are paying more now for products than we were in November of 2024. So the overall cost of living for Americans has gone up just since Trump got into office in January. Number 17, which goes with this, 22 states, according to Moody's, are now in a recession. 22 states. We were not in a recession in January. We're now in a recession. Let's see, that's 17. 18, Executive Order 14238, which is the White House basically claiming it's an HBCU initiative, but it's actually taking money away from HBCUs in order to pay or order to limit government engagement in HBCUs and put it over to the private sector. So basically taking money out of HBCU's mouth. Number 20, Susan Godfrey. This was Donald Trump's attack in a lawsuit against a law firm that protects people and represents people who sue the government. So he attacked a law firm that does public service kinds of work. Number 21, he banned DEI all throughout the federal government. What happened? That ended up taking, what's his name, Jackie Robinson off of a website about the U.S. military because they didn't want people to know that Jackie Robinson had played baseball and served in the military. It led to the Tuskegee Airmen being taken off the Air Force website for a while until somebody came in and said, wait a minute, the Tuskegee Airmen are part of American history. That's not DEI. Let's see here. Then 22, he blamed the plane crash earlier this year on DEI. Remember the plane crashed in Washington, D.C.? A helicopter ran into it. It was tragic. People died. He blamed that on DEI. He blamed that on black people. Let's see here. Then 23, we're not even in order anymore. We are at the government shutdown, which is now gone for 36 days. It may be over sometime this weekend. We're not entirely sure. The longest shutdown in the history of the federal government has happened under Donald Trump. Remember, we're just going since January of what has happened in this country. Number 24, USAID. USAID is responsible for providing healthcare services, research, and NGO help to people all over the planet. It is useful in preventing terrorism in other countries and also providing critical medicines to make sure the diseases and pandemics don't hit here. They shut down USAID. 25, tons of people in the CDC were fired because RFK Jr. and Trump said that they weren't necessary, and Elon said they weren't necessary, and they all had to be rehired. Number 26, people in the Department of Nuclear Energy were fired and removed because Trump thought they were unnecessary, and Elon Musk thought they were unnecessary, and then we had to rehire them. Number 27, he destroyed the East Wing of the White House. I've never even been able to go to the White House. He destroyed the East Wing of the White House so that he can build a ballroom that we don't necessarily need. Number 28, the President of the United States has put together a program where now ICE agents get paid $100,000 a year, $50,000 signing bonus. That's like an NBA player, $50,000 signing bonus. In addition to they get paid throughout the entire government shutdown. That's 28. Number 29, The President of the United States has attacked fishing boats in Venezuela, claiming that they were drug boats, but he has no proof one way or another, causing him an international incident. Number 30, he took Secret Service protection away from Vice President Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. He took Secret Service protection away. So these people have to pay out of their pocket for the rest of their lives to stay safe, even though they have national security secrets. He took away their Secret Service protection. 31st, he pushed Jimmy Kimmel off the air. I'm not like the hugest Jimmy Kimmel fan in the world, but the idea that you had a late night television host get kicked off the air because his administration and Russell Vought and all these other people threatened him, that's a bad sign. 32, the President of the United States pardoned the crypto bro behind Binance, which cost people hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, quite frankly. People had losses. They were defrauded one way or another, but he managed to give him a pardon. 33, the President of the United States decided to accept private donations to pay the military during the shutdown that he caused. And 34, he has consistently threatened every single aspect of American democracy by consistently saying that he's going to run for a third term. That's just since January. That's just January. That's just a list of 34 things that this president has done since January, since he took office. That's my first thing. So my second thing really quick is, everybody who's just heard what I just said, share this list. Seriously, all this stuff, it's from BBC's Contra Van Kim. So share this list with people. Share this list with anybody who thinks their vote doesn't matter. Share this list with anybody who thinks that, well, Trump has been bad, but maybe he's just okay. Share this list with anybody who says that both sides are the same. There is not a list like this that I could give for the first 8 to 10 months of the Biden administration. There's not a list like this that I could give for Barack Obama. I didn't even talk about ICE that much in this list. I haven't talked about all of the pardons. I haven't talked about all of the corrupt behavior. This is just the quick 34. So share this. Thing number two is share this list. Make sure that people in the world know what is happening here. And then number 3, I'm kind of a nostalgic person. A lot of people know this about me. I share pictures every single day. I look back through my phone to make sure what's happening in the country, to my own personal life, to give sort of context as to what's happening. But the third important thing about this is this: we cannot despair. I didn't come up with this list in order to tell you that the world is going to crap and that we can't get out of it. I came up with this list because I want people to understand that as quickly as all of these things occurred, they could all be reversed. They could all be changed. If enough people come out, enough people fight, enough people protest, enough people make themselves ungovernable, enough people vote, enough people care, you can put someone in office who can reverse every single darn thing on this list that I've just shared. And we can look back at the 1-year anniversary of Donald Trump getting elected and saying, man, that was a weird moment in time. Good thing we put somebody else in. Good thing we found somebody who could go through a list like this and say, ... I'm changing everything. So those are my 3 things. First, the 34 terrible things that Donald Trump has done at the very minimum since he got in office. Number 2, hey, share that list. Share what I'm talking about here. Make sure everybody actually knows what's happening in this country. And number 3, do not give up hope. You can vote, you can fight, you can complain, you can write emails, you can compile information. There is absolutely no reason. If this much can change in this country over 8 months, then this much in this country can change over another 8 months or another 2 or 3 years. There's absolutely no reason to give up. Change is constant, but change is also really open. And it means that anybody who wants to create change can, as long as you're willing to put your knees down to the ground, fight for it, care about it, and not be apathetic. This is Jason Johnson with 3 things. Please like, subscribe, and share. I will be back next week, and I answer every single person's question, so please comment. And if there's anything on this list, if there's other things, terrible things that have happened in this first year of the Trump administration that I missed, please put them in the comments, and I'll make sure I respond to them. Later on, it's Jason.